Welcome to Games You'll Soon Play, episode number 2. I'm your host, Liam Gallagher. This episode features a roundtable discussion with the development team of Project Sunshine at BR Warner Studios after a weekend marathon development session. Join Ryan Tan, Jonathan Semple, Brook Warner, and myself, Liam Gallagher, as we talk about the development of Project Sunshine through a weekend at the end of June 2015. You can find information online about the game with the project name Sunshine at brwarnerstudio.net, as well as a host of other information about upcoming and current games. We'll join the discussion now. All right, let's go around the room and have everybody introduce themselves.
Hi, so I'm Brook Jensen. I'm the head of this studio, and I'm a programmer and a writer. I'm working on Sunshine.
I'm Jonathan Semple. I'm here, and I guess I do like programming stuff and design, a bit of writing when Brook lets me.
Yeah.
I'm Liam Gallagher. I do composition of music and sound effects.
I'm Ryan Tan. I do art, concept art, and design.
All right, so in the same order we introduce each other, let's go around and talk about what Sunshine is for us, or what you think is important or fun.
Okay, sure. So I think the sort of initial reason I want to do this project was very much about the kind of the play of putting the characters and the player in this space where like they're fighting creatures that don't care about them, that possibly can't be defeated, only moderately overcome, and just seeing how everyone on the ship sort of deals with that through that kind of mechanism, and sort of putting the player in the same space through the mechanics.
I think it's a interesting, in particular, sort of interesting opportunity to like play around with the game mechanics. And sort of, you take this course at game mechanics, but rather than doing the same thing with all the time, it's like, now how do we fuck with your understanding of these mechanics? What age range is this podcast?
It's for consenting adults.
All right,
Yeah.
cool. So
Okay.
yeah, we can, we can
have profanity in our
fuck
game,
with
right? So.
game mechanics in a consensual way. So
Yeah.
we can, so that the
I would
game's
hope
an
so.
interesting opportunity to consensually fuck with game mechanics.
Right.
By, you take the mechanics you understand, throw them in, like, interesting situations where they don't initially make sense, or you don't know.
The whole thing
how they
initially
work
was your
anymore.
idea, right, John?
Hmm?
The whole thing initially was
No,
your
it was
idea,
Brook.
right?
It came from Brook.
Well,
Really?
Well, it's Brook. Brook, like, brought up the basic idea, and I think we started, like, bouncing on
Yeah, it was after the fall jam, I believe.
because
that
it's definitely your core thing. Like,
Yeah,
Glass
it was-
Cup versus the Eldritch horrors, basically.
Yeah, well, we sort of...
But then I think we just kind of started talking about it.
It was after the fall jam.
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. But, yeah, and I mean, in terms of fucking with mechanics, yeah, it's like, you have guns.
Yeah.
Now fight a nebula.
Yeah, so
Yeah.
yeah, so that's really interesting, and I mean,
Wow.
like, there's like
Man.
cool narrative stuff you can do with that. and,
Exactly, yeah.
So
I think
Yeah.
also exploring the concept of isolation.
Yeah,
And,
and stuff related to that.
Yeah, because
Yeah.
you're kind of stranded in an unknown part of the universe, which is a pretty interesting mechanic, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah.
For me, the thing that I found most compelling is try to work in voice acting into like an interface. So like in the same way that you would have health bars representing the damage of your units, like having the things that people were chirping on the radio be the representation of the squads in operation. And seeing what could be done to lean a little heavily more on what can be heard to free up what can be seen for other new things.
Yeah, and I guess as the kind of UI designer of the bunch,
You know him well.
yeah, the way that UIs work in RTSs is pretty dated, because like a lot of games like StarCraft or any really popular RTS, like the UI takes up like a quarter of the screen.
Yeah, that massive,
is-
like, bottom bar.
Yeah, which is pretty ridiculous. And I think I want the game
but
to be a
someone
little
put
more.
hours into making that UI. Don't you want them to see it?
Well, yeah, but you can put hours into a lot of useless things, or a lot of things that don't age well.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think having a very sound focused design for the UI is much more interesting and much more compelling than having everything so maybe not so visual but so cluttered is a better way to put it, I would say.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I mean, you got to give StarCraft its due. Like, have you
Yeah.
ever played the original
Yeah,
Warcraft?
I played the original Warcraft. Yeah,
Yeah.
And,
So it's like a full third of the
No,
screen is just like
yeah.
static image.
No, I love StarCraft. It's just that,
Yeah.
you know, I feel like we can take some things from that and maybe move forward from it, you know, evolve it,
Yeah.
so to say.
Something more
Yeah.
minimalist.
StarCraft
something-
is one RTS that hasn't evolved.
Yeah, that hasn't really evolved, and that's why it's kind of dying in the esports scene. But
Yeah.
on a side note, yeah.
So we've spent the last, I guess, 2.5 days working on this pretty intensively.
Yep.
Brooke, can you talk to some of the goals of the weekend and just in general what it was like?
Yeah, so I think coming into this weekend, we'd worked on this game sort of in the time we've had between school and work and everything for about 2 months, and it's still it's easy to lose track when you're working on the stuff. When I actually stopped to play the game, I'm like, wow, this isn't really a game yet. You know, there's if I sat someone down to play this, even if they knew all the buttons to play it, there wouldn't be much to play. Like, you can shoot bullets, but like you're not really balanced with the enemies. It's not really clear there's a goal. It's not really clear how to use these mechanics in a meaningful way. So the goal was to turn it into a game, and we started by saying, okay, let's have a basic objective and see if we can make the objective fun. And I think it was Liam, you suggested, you know, get from one side of this asteroid field infected with space fleas to the other. And if we can make that fun, then we can build a whole bunch of stuff around that. And well, Liam, you were the one who sort of first started playing it and sitting down when we had this discussion. So I guess what did you find when you played the thing we had at the beginning of the weekend?
I found that it was kind of hectic and a little crazy.
Clunky.
Yeah, a little clunk. There's a little clunk in the trunk. But I find that so I guess to use words that a viewer would be able to see what we see. So you got your ship in the middle, you got squads of fighters, you've got fleas on debris floating out in the middle of space. And just because everything was loaded in as just sort of objects and art assets on a 2D plane, where no special detail treated to anything particular to help you identify its importance or its game state. It was just kind of this confusing mess. So I set the capital ship to ramming speed and just put that bad boy right through the debris. And I guess from there we learned a few things that needed to happen. Like, we learned that the ship needed to die when it was dead. We learned...
We haven't done that yet, have we?
No, but we learned it. We learned it. It's on a list.
We have a mechanic where fleas burrow, like these... You want to describe the fleas, Ryan, and then I'll talk about what they do?
Okay, well, so the design for the fleas is pretty Lovecraftian. So I took a lot of insects, I guess, and I had to look at them, and I was like, okay, well, you have fleas in space. I mean, the initial sprite, the placeholder sprite was like a cockroach, right?
Yeah, it wasn't even a flea.
So, I don't know.
Gotcha.
I just took, like, some Lovecraftian elements, like, you know, eyes on everything, but I took inspiration from the real world. So I looked at what real fleas look like, obviously. But I also looked at things like leeches, you know, ticks, all these kind of parasitic insects.
Yeah, because they got the, like,
Yeah,
sucker
and bugs,
kind of thing on the front.
And I would say the design is pretty horrifying and gross.
I think you did a good job of making it sort of like that uncanny thing where it's familiar to things we're familiar with. It's similar, but it's not the same.
Yeah.
And like narratively, the original idea is like they're not actually fleas. They could be whatever, and the only reason we're calling them fleas because that's how they behave relative to the bigger monsters.
And certainly having your ship wade out into a snow white cloud of these wriggling bugs on asteroids is not looking forward to it.
And the kind of way I designed them is I had them in space in mind, so they have like these huge like eyes on the concept art that are like for perception and stuff in space. But what was really cool, I think, is I made them have these kind of like tripod like hind legs, like how a flea jumps, but they're more like it's like a tripod, and they like kind of push the flea off, and they, you know, propel them through these asteroids and onto your ship. And they have hands like animal arms, but they're more insectoids. They're very like bony and exoskeleton, and they kind of like claw through your ship and grab things. I've yet to animate them, but they're gonna be like grabbing things, and they're gonna have these gross leech like mouths, and they're gonna like be drilling through the ship. And
Yeah, so with the burrowing, one thing happened with the playthrough is that we got the ship through, but then the ship had accumulated like 400 fleas. And it's like, oh, I'm just gonna slowly die.
Yeah.
So we need to be able to deal with that somehow.
Yeah.
And then the other thing that came up immediately was that the main ship had no way of traversing the asteroids. If an asteroid was in the way, you just sort of had to either smash into it or like go around the entire asteroid field. And from that came the idea of needing a large artillery piece on the warship itself in order to help it traverse the asteroid field.
Yeah, and actually like knock them out of the way or like just destroy like asteroids. Because right now they're there and you pretty much can't do anything about them. And I think the other problem that came up was about the fighters. Yeah, John, do you want to talk about some of the fighter problems we had initially?
Oh god, the fighters. Well, they're
still kind of having them.
they have them less now. They're still
Yeah.
very squishy.
Yeah,
They still die like basically instantly.
Yeah,
it's hard to find.
But
that
there's
balance.
also the issue of they really easily to fly into like the flak fields you set up and stuff. We've mitigated that slightly because you made them a bit smarter about how they like turn around now and stuff, so that they're less likely to just like fly into the flak fields. We also did. I can't remember when this. I guess this might have been before the weekend, but like I guess I did it before the weekend. But like the fleas will prioritize other stuff. But we did make the fighters a bit more effective by giving them a bit more damage, a bit more range.
yeah.
We also changed the fleas so they do their damage at like the end of a second. So they do an amount of damage per second when they're attached to something. And it used to be like every update of the game they would do, their damage per second multiplied by how much time was in that update.
Yeah.
Which resulted in fighters dying really fast. One thing we changed is the fleas will do all their damage at the end of the second. So if they do 20 damage a second, it waits a second, they do 20. Waits another second, they do another 20. Which gives the fighters a bit more of a chance to like get the fleas off them instead of them just exploding instantly.
Because before, like, you'd have these fighter squads, and your best bet, like the best solution, was to keep all the fighters docked inside your ship. Because if you sent them out, they'd just get murdered by space fleas, and they'd pretty much do nothing against the space fleas. So it was like
they'd scream horrible death
They'd
screams.
scream horrible death screams, but I mean, it's not really what you want. I mean, John is really excited about the death screaming.
Yeah,
it's
pretty great.
He's just smiling every time he hears it. But for
It's a
some
bit sadistic.
some normal people, they might not like that.
So we talked a little bit about what wasn't working at the beginning of the weekend. Can we talk about some of the technical innovations that we introduced?
Yeah, sure. So we're kind of talking about the fighters doing more damage and stuff.
Yeah, we increased the range and stuff, so there's a bit more effective. They used to basically only shoot at point blank range. They're
Right.
not quite at point blank range now, so they're also a bit more useful in just like clearing the fleas off your ship,
Yeah,
the big ship, just because they don't have to be
literally
up-
right beside something to shoot.
literally
at.
right on top of your ship to shoot at the fleas on it. They can shoot from a distance.
Yeah, and we added like these cannons that fire like these big cannonballs, which don't physically make sense yet in terms of their size and the ship size.
Yeah.
But shoot these giant cannonballs forward that you can use to destroy the asteroids or just sort of like nudge them out of the way.
And also, I liked how we added your flak turrets. They can be set to flak mode, and you just set like a range, and they'll just saturate the air with explosions. But we have it now, so you can switch them to like a point defense mode.
Mm-hmm.
They'll shoot just bullets, and they'll pick a target close to the ship and shoot at till it's dead. Basically,
try to snipe it. But
Yeah.
they're only so
It's
effective.
just it's less effective when there's a lot of things because the turrets have to take time to turn and stuff. But it's
They also don't destroy.
yeah,
it.
it's nice because it
Yeah.
doesn't murder your own.
So you got to
fighters
kind of
or anything.
micromanage it a bit.
Yeah.
Yeah.
One of the things that progressed a huge way this weekend is the visual aspects of the game. So this weekend I've been sitting next to Ryan's
Hey.
workspace,
Yeah.
and it was really interesting over the course of a day to see you work on the design of a single ship for like 12 hours.
Yeah.
But can you talk about how the amount of depth that you put into that single design helped informed your vision for the art style for the game?
Yeah, sure. Well, it kind of starts maybe going back to the original concept art, which was done like a month ago, over a month ago.
Yep.
And so I mean, I designed some of these ships for a while now because like we started really, really rough stuff like earlier in the year.
Yeah, when we
And,
sort of like talked about the idea
Yeah,
of
talked
doing this
about it, and I
project.
like pitched a few designs, but we didn't really get that far since you were going to co-op.
Mhm.
I was having a pretty busy term, and there's a lot of stuff didn't line up.
Yep.
But just a few weeks ago, or like I said before, when I started drawing these ships, we had ideas to change, or not to change, but to kind of stick with the concept that we always had of having, instead of sci-fi like energy shields and stuff like that, to having more practical designs that are based on, you know, having huge armor plates and bullets instead of lasers, and it's much more grounded, I would say.
Yeah, in the BSG kind of. Like...
Yeah, in the BSG kind of way. So for the design of the ship, I was having trouble kind of establishing an art style because I was looking at other 2D games and they're either, you know, super old or they try to be kind of realistic in a 2D sense. And I think using a more photorealistic kind of art style kind of takes away from it when it's 2D, because it's a little bit jarring because you can't really tilt your ship, or you don't have the degree of depth to work with.
Right.
So I wanted to take advantage of using a 2D design. It's a little bit like I kind of just took a scan of the final concept for the ship, and I had to redo the outlines and everything like that. But it was based, I guess, on a previous game that we made called We're All Gonna Die.
Yeah.
Do you want to speak a little bit about that?
Well, I won't get too much of what it is, but I mean, we've kind of tentatively decided that all the games we're making exist in the same universe.
Half is a joke, but
half is a joke, but it kind of works.
Yeah.
But anyway, there is some relation to two. But yeah, so I think from what I've seen of your art style, it does look quite similar.
So I went with a very kind of flat, vectorish design for the ship, and We're All Gonna Die was a lot simpler than this game in terms of art. The rooms and everything. It was a game that takes place inside, but the rooms and everything were top down, very simple, very flat colors, but you would get shading from like a sharp contrast between the two colors. And I kind of worked that into our ship. And I guess a big thing with this game is we didn't want to make our ship, you know, gray or black or brown or anything like that.
Spaceship gray.
Yeah, spaceship gray. So
like it's 2011.
Yeah. So I was looking at different colors, and I like the, you know, orange and blue contrasting colors. So I added a little bit of those accents to the ship, and I used a lot of like white, like really, really light gray. And I used gray, but I made it interesting by adding highlights and things like that, and contours to this flat design to give the illusion of depth, but still not be so jarring that you would feel like I'm flying a 2D or 3D object in a 2D world. Like, you're very much aware that it's a 2D object in a 2D world, but I feel like that works out better than trying to give too much of an illusion. That way, you know, you still stay on the same plane, but you get the idea that, you know, it still is an object and it still has.
I like it because it looks kind of, I guess, cartoony in a way, in the sense that, like, you know, it's like a drawn 2D image.
Yeah.
And, like, you know, it represents, like, a real thing, but it's not trying to look exactly like the real thing. It's just trying to look like its own thing.
Yeah.
It's almost like if you had a 3D art asset, you would expect for it to move in a way a 3D thing could move. Yeah. And it never will.
Like the placeholder game. Yeah, like the placeholder sprite we used for the ship was much more defined in its form. But when we moved it around, it actually looked kind of weird because you expect it to, like, pitch and yaw and stuff like that, and it doesn't. So that's why I kind of went with the design that we were going for.
Yeah, and I think, I think the use of the colors you did looks good. Like, it doesn't look like, you know, I mean, it'd be weird to see a super colorful spaceship just because of the current aesthetics around spaceship. Like, it looked a little ridiculous, but I think the use of color was subtle, but, like, it feels like a distinct ship. Like, this is, because the whole point is, like, this is your ship, this is your one ship. It's not like one unit. Like, the ship is almost you in a way. Yeah. So it's distinct in that sense. And I think that works quite well.
Yeah. I also feel like if it's too colorful, it'd be weird in the sense that it's supposed to be a military ship.
Yeah.
And like, generally that kind of, like, you know, that kind of thing, you want practical colors instead of crazy flamboyant stuff. And
I feel like it does a good job of continuing, like, a human tradition of, like, altering, like, military vessels and vehicles. Because you think about, like, an in-service ship, like, it's getting painted on the go, and it has a certain amount of protocol it needs to follow in terms of presentation. But, you know, if you spend any time looking at the aesthetics of, like, military culture, those guys always find some way to personalize their vessel or their individual vehicle. And I feel like it has those nice touches where somebody at some point was told that they needed to put stripes on the outside of the hull and decided, I'm going for orange.
Yeah, something like that. And see, I guess I wanted to kind of unify the idea of the clunkiness of more practical military designs, but also a kind of sleekness that the sci-fi you get from that kind of sci-fi setting. So I think it fused really well with that very sleek kind of color scheme, but a very like big kind of imposing ship with like huge metal shields and stuff like that. That kind of design worked really well. And I think that spending so much time on the ship, it's super detailed and it's really cool if you zoom into it and stuff. But it also helped me to establish a more concrete art style for everything else.
Right, you have something to build on now.
It's something to reference,
Yeah.
So the fighters are going to have a similar kind of style. Even the insects and stuff like that would share probably that same kind of somewhat flat vectorish art style. But it wouldn't be cutesy like a lot of vector games out there now. It would be pretty horrifying. So.
The most adorable space fleas ever munching on the faces of your pilots.
Yeah.
Instead of space fleas, they call them wubbums.
Yeah.
They just want murderous snuggles.
Murderous snuggles, for sure. Just a kiss with their entire, mandible.
And I mean, speaking of the fleas, we got we now have the flea sounds Liam's been producing in.
Oh yeah, they're horrifying.
Pretty terrifying. Yeah, you want to tell a story of how you got those sounds?
Yeah. Sure. So sound design is weird because you go around your life listening to things like a normal person would, and then all of a sudden you hear something, and you're like, that could be an eldritch horror from outer space. And so basically what it was is I was at work one day, and people were doing maintenance on an elevator shaft, and I don't know what they were drilling into, but they were, they had a power drill and they were putting a hole through metal. And so basically it was the sound of a metal bore reverberating through an entire elevator shaft. And so one of the things that's challenging about designing for something that sounds like it should be in outer space is even though there isn't sound in outer space, if there's going to be sound in outer space, it should sound big, right? Because the capital ship is massive, right?
Yeah. It's like kilometer long.
Yeah. So there's going to be lots of subtones, and there's going to be a lot of that, rich low end reverberance that is kind of hard to fake because there's like an organic quality to that sound that like hits you and you feel it in your body, and you're like, yeah, that's what I'm used to hearing when a big thing hits another big thing. Where if you don't get that right, you don't get that response, right? Like, you don't feel that way. So take that, add some pitch shifting, use some like tape speed up and slow down so that the drill starts like really low. And then I used a gating process to sort of act as a digital jaw. Now that sounds kind of like artsy fartsy, but basically if you think about the way you talk, and if you talk with your mouth open, there's a change in sound. So basically taking the whirring and putting like a jaw type effect on it, so it sounds like the drilling noise is a vocalization.
Oh, okay, interesting.
Oh boy. It's unpleasant.
Yeah, it's really unpleasant, but it's unpleasant in the most pleasant way.
Yeah, so if you imagine a power drill made out of flesh that's a kilometer long, screaming at you. That's what we've got.
Yeah, it's pretty nice. Works out.
So, where are we now and where are we headed? What's the game state?
The game state is essentially before but better.
It's a bit more playable.
Yeah, I think we're at a point where we kind of have
it's a refined roughness.
It's refined roughness. We have a trajectory, I think, towards getting that goal of having like, is it fun to get one side of the asteroid field to the other?
I think it is now.
Yeah,
it's a lot more fun.
Yeah,
now,
I think there's still work to do on that goal, but I think the work that still needs to be done, we kind of know what it is, or we have a insight into what the next thing is going to be. We're not as like, what do we do? I feel
like one of the biggest accomplishments this weekend was more of contextualizing like where we are in the entire process of everything, Yeah,
because this is the first time we were all sort of working in the same room, which was good because we had some discussions about stuff later down the line.
Some funny jokes.
Talked about art aesthetics.
Empiricism.
Millennials.
The
viability of millennials.
Yeah, pretty much.
Dumb term.
So and I think we got the background art from Ryan and the art for the big capital ship in.
Oh man, the background art just makes it look so much better.
The solid colored dark ugly blue is not good.
The ugly sky blue.
I didn't like the fact that you took a blue screen Added some filters on it.
Yeah, and we got some more voice acting in that Liam recorded for the capital ship. Got a lot more sound cues in. Kind of taught Liam how to use Unity.
Unsuccessfully.
And me a bit too.
And
you taught Perforce how to use me.
Yeah, and it was
taught
really
you guys
uncomfortable.
enough that we don't have to grab your assets from somewhere else to put them in.
Yeah.
On the
So yes, that was fun.
One of the biggest things for me, because I'm based out of Toronto, and you guys are based all out of Waterloo, is being
For the most part, yeah.
yeah, is to be in person while doing some of this stuff.
Yeah, it's just so much more
Like
effective.
we use a third party long distance communication service that we're not going to name.
Yeah.
Because they're not paying for us to advertise.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Take that, someone.
And it's good because I can type a message and upload files and we can communicate about stuff. But there's a difference. Even if somebody's at their computer and I don't have like a 5-minute turnaround time until I get a response, even if it's direct, it's not quite the same as if I can tap right on the shoulder and say, "What do you think about this?"
That's all right.
And then I feel shame immediately.
Yeah. It's really about that shame turnaround time.
Yeah.
But it was really good. I mean, we had a really cool exchange of ideas, and it was nice to kind of be working on all the same thing and being so focused, And we shared some pretty awesome moments, like when Liam made that cannon sound effect, and we all heard it. It was like, whoa, like that satisfied some sort of primal violence in me that only cannons and
one of the things
other gubs can satisfy.
Of course.
Yeah.
One of the things that I'm looking forward to in both this game is keeping the max resolution sound files in the game and available. One of the things I find frustrating as somebody who has a pretty good audio kit at home, because I work in sound, is when you put it in like a AAA game and the bottom end on every track is wiped out because it sounds bad on some laptop speakers. Given that we have the power to keep those assets in, I'm looking forward to producing both hi-fi and lo-fi versions of it, so that for the home user who really wants that Canon experience, right, like the low-pitched rumble that I tweaked expertly. Well, I tweaked it.
Tweaked, yeah.
Just so that it's perfectly in that, like, you feel it in your gut kind of, audio range is still in there. Like, that'll be good, because you hit spacebar, you hear an electric hum, you hear a whir, and then it's good. I'm looking forward to being able to do that.
Yeah, and that's perfectly doable. I don't see why we wouldn't.
Yeah, it's just like an option you toggle, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
And we can put that in the options.
Yeah.
And I'm certainly excited to have like a whole bunch of voice acting in there as well.
Yeah. So, Jonathan, what would you like to see next from the game? What's on your wish list?
I think
You're just going to demand more stuff from us, right?
Yeah, basically. I want you guys to
vigilance.
just finish everything, and I'm going to take it easy.
Yeah.
No, I mean, I think we're getting closer to having like games with asteroid field fun. It's funner. There's still a lot of tweaking to happen.
Yeah, it's a lot more tweaking and less.
I definitely want to see more. I guess more from both of you, yeah, because there's still some areas where there's sound cues missing.
Yeah.
So I definitely want to see the rest of the art. We're still only like using placeholders for the debris.
Yeah.
The fleas are just your and the fires are just your initial concepts.
Yeah.
I definitely want to see what you do with the fires. I think it'd be cool to have like there's a bit of personalization on the capital ship, and let's see even like a fighter pilot would probably personalize even more.
Yeah,
right? So you zoom in, it's like Alpha Squad looks different from Bravo Squad, and then like Alpha Leader, he's done something special with his ship.
There's notch marks on the wing for fleet kills.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I think that'd be pretty cool to see.
Yeah.
And then just like refine the mechanics and taking what we have and just making it interesting to giving you some interesting decisions.
What if we added like 40 features?
Well, yeah, I mean, like, yeah.
No. We could list them on the box though.
Yeah,
That's
I'm
true.
looking forward to sitting down and coming out with our bullet points. What are bullet points going to be? We have 5 bullet points now. We need like 20 more.
We need to turn this into a Reddit post.
Yeah, pretty much all the downvotes.
How about you, Liam? What are you looking for?
What I'm looking for is the first build of the game that you could put in front of a complete beginner to the game and say, "This is fun. You should do it now."
Yeah.
And they don't disagree with you.
Yeah.
Maybe there's
Yeah,
like
it'd be
big
really nice to
stupid
have a
smile
build
on
of
their
the
face or
game
something.
where we can sit someone down and not only can they play and have fun, but we don't have to like spend 15 minutes telling them how to play the game.
Oh,
Yeah.
Yeah. We've
Right
only
now,
mapped
none
half
of the
keyboard.
Right now, none of the controls are intuitive, and
Yeah.
No.
like we have a kind of half complete like pop-up message in the bottom corner that says like you select the ship.
15 keys.
Except we don't even have all of them in there. Right?
Yeah.
Right. Like the new features we added, they're not documented.
It's the digital version of a sticky note.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I mean, the thing is, we're close to that. I think it's just a matter of making that a priority.
Yeah.
Right now, we're developing the game for ourselves because it's far off from being published. And
For sure.
when you think about publishing, that's when you start to worry about all the end user stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It'd be really nice to have something where other people can start playing it soon, though, so we can start
to
getting
get an
outside
impression.
feedback and stuff.
Yeah.
Start showing it off, being like, "Hey, here's the thing we're working on. What do you think?"
Here's this concept, and then see what we can build on that. I think that's really exciting. Yeah.
Here's this concept. Do you want to enjoy Game Murdered by Fleas
Yeah.
in space?
Yeah.
All right, so let's go around and let's talk about our final thoughts. If there's one little tidbit that maybe is off the beaten path, but you want to make sure that people understand and know, what would it be? Let's start with you, Ryan.
Oh man. All
Oh
right.
man, we'll start with you, Brooke.
Oh, jeez.
All right, Ryan.
Nah.
You're Ryan.
Nah.
Sorry, John. I've been doing that all weekend.
All right.
No,
I'll let President.
I mean,
Okay.
it's still you to move to.
Okay,
so
okay. You know what,
Let's bring it
everyone?
home, let's bring it
I'm
home.
gonna. Once again, I have to be the decisive one.
All right, Brooke,
Alright,
pull the trigger, Jensen.
What do you want to eat?
God. Okay.
We'll never come to a conclusion. This is
What I guess the one interesting thing that sort of came up that hasn't come up much in this podcast because like right now we're focusing very much on the gameplay side and
Very design heavy.
yeah, I mean like that's great. It's something I am interested in, but we did have some conversations I guess about the narrative side and like this narrative is very much more like less about the Eldritch horrors you're fighting and more about the people who are fighting them. And
yeah.
and we had a cool discussion about the when we wanted to solve the design problem of if your fighter leaders die, how do we get new fighter leaders without having to revoice act like 50 times every fighter?
And with them having like some sort of like knowledge from these dead previous fighters.
Yeah. So just in our discussion, we came up with the fighter pilots. Something happening to them with some weird Eldritch horror at the very beginning that means they literally can't die. Yeah. They get burned alive. They float in space. They stay conscious. And I think that like the idea of someone who can't die in a ship fighting Eldritch horrors, knowing that if the spaceship they're protecting blows up, they'll be abandoned, floating in space, unable to die for the rest of eternity.
I mean, eventually, like this spaceship can't last forever, so that's like something that will always be in the back of their mind.
Yeah, exactly. So,
like they're waiting for entropy.
But I mean, they're not afraid of death. They're afraid of other people's death because then they have nothing.
Yeah.
And I think it's that kind of shit that is
that hits the fan.
What? Yeah.
God damn it!
It's that kind of stuff that I want to see. I mean, it's later in the game, but it's that kind of stuff that I'm excited about.
Yeah, I think that also leads to interesting game mechanics of like having to send out search and rescue squads to get your fighter squadron leaders back.
And recruiting new people. And
without the idea of your fighter squadrons never dying, that wouldn't be a thing. But it's just kind of this cool thing that sort of makes sense. That sometimes send out the search and rescue teams, right? That's something you can see happening in like TV show or whatever. In BSG that happens, right?
Yeah.
Or any sort of like sci-fi show that happens, someone gets stranded on space, send out the search and rescue teams. So that's cool. I think I mean in general, I think just having this sort of weekend though where we kind of approached it the same idea as like doing a game jam where we just have dedicated time to get something done.
Yeah.
It's a good idea because it we're all busy with other stuff, but it's setting aside a week and just like get some output, right? Just come into the weekend, get some stuff done, and also just get together is just really, helpful to not just to get progress, but to see that progress. Because when you're working on it little bits at a time,
you don't see
the
it.
Changes are happen slow enough that you don't see that shit we've actually progressed.
Yeah.
But when it's like when you have a concentrated work time, it's like 2 days. Get some stuff done at the end of 2 days. It's like, wow, we actually legitimately got some stuff down. It's noticeably different from when we started.
Yeah. I think the thing that I'm looking forward to the most that sort of fits off the beaten path is a couple of months down the road when we've got like a good working level and a good working game happening, the kind of polished touches that go into it. Like, I'm excited to play the game and zoom in on a fighter and, discover that Ryan's drawn in a tongue stick out face.
Yeah.
It's a great idea, actually. I didn't think
you
of that.
do that.
On the wing of a fighter,
Yeah.
or to see that somebody's, routed an audio cue into a funny patch, so that when you're expecting a fighter to scream in pain because they've just been killed, instead they crack a joke and like have those little moments like, oh wow,
Yeah.
that's kind of touchingly horrible.
Yeah.
Mm.
Shit like that that kind of makes the game have that, extra little bit of oomph, I guess.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to that stuff.
Yeah.
Your last one, Ryan.
I guess
Better be impactful.
Wow. I don't know. I'm pretty much in agreement with Liam. But I'm also looking forward to kind of, getting to know the art style more, and also getting ready to get that polish in and animating things. I'm really excited to animate the fleas because I have some pretty crazy and gross ideas of how they're going to like emerge from like cocoons or something like that.
Yeah.
Yeah. And
So gross.
yeah, it's so gross, but it's going to be awesome. I'm just excited to get a lot of this art and stuff into the game, and especially characters. I'm super excited to design
Yeah,
characters.
yeah, I
'cause I
know.
really love drawing
I know.
characters.
We'll
yeah.
enjoy that together. Don't
Yeah, I
worry.
know we will enjoy that together, but I'm hyped for it
Yeah.
regardless. Yeah, and I guess I'm excited to see other people play the game and to get some feedback, good and bad, so that we can take it to the next step when we.
I think
if we
it'll be
decide to,
fun
yeah.
just to actually get to some of the narrative stuff too.
Yeah.
Yeah, because I feel
Writing,
like because
right now all the dialogue is just like very much placed where it's like we need some cues for
Yeah.
these things happening,
Yeah.
but there's maybe
Yeah.
bits of personality, but
Yeah.
not much because we haven't actually fleshed out
because I think
who
our
the
game
characters
is
talking are.
quite
I think it'd
narratively
be cool
focused.
to get to some of that. Actually flesh out like who your squadron leaders are and give them a bit of personality and flesh out like who's on your bridge.
Yeah.
And, like add a bit of like story or whatever.
And that takes so many. That's like a culmination of all the narrative,
Yeah.
the
It'd be
game
cool to
design,
actually be
and
able to
the
get to that,
art,
though.
and the sound, and everything. So
Yeah.
it'd be really nice to get to that point. Yeah.
It'll be great.
Yep.
All right. Well, I think that's all for now.
Yeah.
I know this has been a successful weekend, and I'm looking
Yeah.
forward to our audience being able to take the much pleasure in our successes we have.
Yeah. We linked to some like screenshots of what's going on so far in the
Yeah, we'll
podcast.
tumble those.
Okay,
we'll
we'll
tumble
tumble them.
those. Okay,
Tweet 'em.
cool. Yeah.
Yeah.
Tweet and tumble.
We'll put those in the Chivos.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
Sweet. Yeah.
All right. Well, goodbye, audience.
Signing off.
Farewell.
Cue.
Thanks for listening to the second episode of Games You'll Soon Play. I've been your host, Liam Gallagher. All the music that you've heard during this episode is music for the upcoming BR Warner Studios game, Rat Killer. You can find out more about Rat Killer online at ratkillerthegame.weebly.com. Additionally, you can adjust your wireless set to @RatKillerGame for all the latest dispatches from the home office. Thank you so much for tuning into this episode. I've, again, been Liam Gallagher, and I hope you have a wonderful evening.